76 million years ago, this peaceful valley was part of a thriving prehistoric world where vast forests, winding rivers, and giant dinosaurs existed long before humans appeared. The climate remained warm and humid throughout much of the year, allowing dense forests, towering ferns, and countless flowering plants to flourish across the landscape. What we now call Montana was once crossed by broad rivers that created fertile floodplains, providing ideal conditions for countless species of prehistoric animals. Among these ancient ecosystems lived Maiasaura, a large plant-eating dinosaur whose remarkable family life would eventually transform modern paleontology forever. Its scientific name means good mother lizard, reflecting fossil discoveries that revealed adults likely cared for their young long after the eggs had hatched. Growing nearly 9 meters in length, Maiasaura possessed powerful hind limbs, a broad beak for feeding, and a body perfectly suited to life in large social groups. Living together in enormous herds helped these gentle herbivores reduce the risk of predators while allowing younger animals to remain protected within the group. Large nesting colonies covered entire floodplains, with carefully spaced nests showing that hundreds of families returned to raise their young side by side. These extraordinary fossils challenged the long-held belief that dinosaurs abandoned their offspring, revealing evidence of extended parental care never expected before. Hidden beneath Montana's ancient rocks waited one of paleontology's greatest discoveries, a remarkable fossil site that would forever reshape our understanding of dinosaur life. 76 million years ago, Earth looked remarkably different. With warmer oceans, higher sea levels, and continents still slowly drifting toward their modern positions. North America was divided by the vast western interior seaway, forming the narrow western landmass known today as Laramidia, home to countless dinosaur species. Stretching thousands of kilometers from the Arctic to the Gulf of Mexico, this inland sea influenced climate, rainfall, and the evolution of surrounding ecosystems. Ancient Montana lay near the shores of this great sea, where rivers deposited rich sediments that supported one of Earth's most productive dinosaur habitats. Towering conifers, flowering plants, horsetails, and giant ferns formed lush forests, unlike any living ecosystem, providing abundant food for giant herbivores. Laramidia contained an astonishing diversity of dinosaurs, with many species found nowhere else because the inland sea isolated populations for millions of years. Although temperatures remained mild, seasonal rainfall and changing daylight influenced migration, nesting behavior, and the yearly rhythm of prehistoric life, long before people walked the earth. This forgotten continent provided the perfect environment where Maiasaura flourished for countless generations in peaceful herds. During the late Cretaceous, global temperatures remained significantly warmer than today, creating environments where dinosaurs thrived across much of the planet. Even regions close to the poles supported dense forests, because Earth's climate lacked the permanent ice sheets that dominate those areas today. Frequent rainfall replenished rivers and wetlands, creating fertile landscapes where enormous plant-eating dinosaurs found abundant food throughout the seasons. Fast-growing forests of conifers, flowering plants, and giant ferns produced remarkable biodiversity, supporting one of history's richest terrestrial ecosystems. Maiasaura depended on this extraordinary abundance of vegetation, consuming large quantities of leaves and stems each day to sustain its massive body. For millions of years, this warm, flourishing world remained remarkably stable, until dramatic global events eventually brought the age of dinosaurs to its end. Ancient Montana bore little resemblance to today's dry plains, instead, supporting vast floodplains, forests, and winding rivers beneath a warm prehistoric sky. Nearby, the immense western interior seaway divided North America, influencing weather patterns and shaping the evolution of countless dinosaur species. Seasonal rivers regularly flooded surrounding plains, depositing nutrient-rich sediments that nourished dense vegetation across enormous prehistoric landscapes. Extensive forests offered food, shelter, and nesting grounds for herbivores, while also providing cover for some of the largest predators of the late Cretaceous. These fertile valleys became ideal breeding grounds, where generations of Maiasaura returned to establish enormous nesting colonies, year after year. Maiasaura shared its environment with duck-billed dinosaurs, horned dinosaurs, armored species, swift predators, turtles, crocodilians, and early mammals. Although temperatures stayed relatively warm, changing seasons still affected river levels, plant growth, and the timing of nesting throughout the region. For countless generations, this remarkable landscape supported one of the best-known examples of dinosaur family life ever discovered by paleontologists. The remarkable story of Maiasaura began not in prehistoric times, but during the summer of 1978, when fossil hunters explored the rugged hills of Montana. Weathered bones emerging from ancient rock layers hinted that an extraordinary fossil deposit had remained hidden beneath the surface for millions of years. Leading the excavation, paleontologist Jack Horner carefully documented every discovery, recognizing that these fossils challenged established ideas about dinosaur behavior. Instead of isolated skeletons, researchers uncovered entire nesting colonies, containing eggs, hatchlings, juveniles, and fully grown adults preserved together. The site became famous as Egg Mountain, preserving one of the world's most complete records of dinosaur nesting behavior ever uncovered by science. Many hatchlings possessed fragile, underdeveloped limbs, suggesting they remained inside their nests and depended on adults before becoming strong enough to walk. Repeated feeding likely occurred because growing hatchlings required enormous amounts of food before they could safely leave the protection of the nesting colony. Inspired by this extraordinary evidence, scientists named the dinosaur Maiasaura, honoring what appeared to be remarkable parental care among ancient reptiles. The discovery revolutionized paleontology by demonstrating that at least some dinosaurs displayed sophisticated reproductive and social behaviors resembling modern birds. Even decades later, Maiasaura continues to provide scientists with invaluable clues about dinosaur growth, family life, and the evolution of parental behavior. Every newly discovered dinosaur receives a scientific name that follows international rules. These names often describe appearance, location, or a remarkable feature revealed by the fossils. The name Maiasaura comes from Greek words meaning good mother lizard. It was chosen because the fossils suggested an unusually high level of parental care. Researchers found hatchlings whose leg bones were still too weak for long walks. This suggested that young Maiasaura remained in the nest while adults repeatedly returned. Not every paleontologist immediately accepted this interpretation. Some scientists argued that the fossils could support different explanations, making Maiasaura one of the most discussed dinosaurs of its time. Today, the name Maiasaura represents far more than a single species. It symbolizes a turning point in paleontology, reminding us that dinosaurs were not only giants of the past, but complex animals with behaviors that scientists are still uncovering. An adult Maiasaura measured about 9 meters in length, and weighed as much as 3 metric tons, making it one of the largest herbivores of its ecosystem. Its broad beak worked like powerful pruning shears, allowing it to crop large amounts of leaves, stems and soft vegetation without chewing each bite individually. Behind its beak were hundreds of teeth arranged in dental batteries. As older teeth wore down, new ones continuously replaced them throughout the animal's life. Its flexible neck allowed Maiasaura to feed efficiently over a wide area, without constantly moving its entire body. Although capable of standing on 2 legs, Maiasaura spent much of its time walking on all fours while feeding. Its strong hind limbs could propel the animal into a faster 2 legged gait whenever greater speed became necessary. The tail acted as a dynamic counterweight, helping stabilize the body while walking, running and turning. Rare skin impressions preserved with Maiasaura fossils reveal a body covered in small polygonal scales rather than feathers. Computer models suggest that Maiasaura combined stability with efficiency, allowing long-distance travel between feeding grounds and nesting colonies. Every feature of its body, from its beak and teeth to its limbs and tail, was shaped by millions of years of evolution, creating one of the most successful herbivorous dinosaurs of the late Cretaceous. Although soft tissues rarely fossilize, the shape of the skull allows scientists to estimate where the eyes, ears, and nasal passages were located. These features suggest that Maiasaura relied on a combination of sight, hearing, and smell to detect both food and danger. Each jaw contained hundreds of teeth, but only a fraction were active at any one time. As worn teeth fell away, new ones moved into position, creating a remarkably efficient natural conveyor belt. Microscopic wear patterns preserved on fossil teeth reveal that Maiasaura processed tough vegetation with repeated grinding motions before swallowing. Much like today's large grazing mammals, growth rings inside fossil bones indicate that young Maiasaura grew at an extraordinary rate. Within only a few years, hatchlings reached a size that greatly improved their chances of survival. Entire bone beds containing individuals of different ages suggest that Maiasaura often lived in large social groups, rather than as solitary animals. Under the microscope, fossil bones preserve growth patterns similar to those found in modern birds. These tissues provide valuable clues about metabolism, age and growth rate. Scientists cannot directly measure dinosaur intelligence, but coordinated nesting sites and group behavior suggest that Maiasaura possessed more complex social interactions than early researchers once imagined. Every new fossil, every CT scan, and every microscopic analysis adds another piece to the puzzle. Today, Maiasaura is no longer seen as simply another dinosaur, but as one of the best understood herbivores of the late Cretaceous. Few dinosaur discoveries have changed scientific thinking as dramatically as Maiasaura. Its fossils challenged ideas that had remained largely unquestioned for more than a century. Before this discovery, dinosaurs were often portrayed as solitary reptiles. Maiasaura introduced convincing evidence that at least some species lived in organized family groups. The discovery encouraged scientists to compare dinosaur behavior with living birds, strengthening the growing view that many dinosaur behaviors survived through their avian descendants. Today, Maiasaura fossils are displayed in museums around the world, where they help explain dinosaur biology to millions of visitors every year. Modern technology allows researchers to study Maiasaura fossils without damaging them. CT imaging and digital modeling continue to reveal details that earlier generations could never observe. Because its life history is unusually well documented, Maiasaura has become one of the most frequently featured dinosaurs in books, classrooms, and educational documentaries. Rather than ending a scientific debate, Maiasaura began many new ones. Researchers continue to investigate how these dinosaurs communicated, migrated, and organized their nesting colonies. Maiasaura became famous, not because it was the biggest or the fiercest dinosaur, but because it revealed an entirely new way of understanding prehistoric life. Its fossils continue to inspire discoveries that reshape our view of the ancient world. Close your eyes for a moment, and imagine yourself standing in a quiet valley, nearly 70 million years ago. Every slow breath carries the scent of damp earth and ancient forests. Around you, the land has never known cities or roads. It belongs only to rivers, plants, and the gentle rhythm of countless generations of Maiasaura. Listen carefully to the sounds surrounding you. Gentle wind moves through the ancient leaves, while insects create a quiet chorus that has echoed across this landscape for millions of years. These simple rhythms remained almost unchanged long before mammals became the dominant life on Earth. Notice how every animal moves without urgency. Large herbivores often conserved energy whenever possible. Their slow and steady pace allowed them to spend many hours each day feeding on the enormous amount of vegetation required to support bodies weighing several tons. Each nest represents far more than a place where eggs were laid. Fossil evidence suggests that young Maiasaura remained here long enough to depend on adult care. Their families created organized breeding colonies, unlike those once imagined for most dinosaurs. Allow your breathing to match the slow movement of the river beside you. Water shaped these ancient floodplains year after year, carrying fresh sediments that buried nests and bones. Millions of years later, those same layers would preserve the remarkable story scientists continue to uncover today. With every slow breath, let today's thoughts become lighter. Around you, the herd has no concern for tomorrow. It simply follows the natural rhythm of daylight. Feeding, resting, and moving together through a world that changes almost too slowly to notice. The lowering sun paints the valley with deep shades of gold. Across countless seasons, this quiet evening ritual repeated itself again and again. Long before humans existed, nature had already perfected its own timeless schedule. As darkness slowly settles across the valley, the sky begins to reveal countless distant stars. Many of the constellations look familiar, yet the world beneath them is wonderfully different. You are witnessing a night that no human eyes could ever have seen. Far beneath your feet, tiny details are beginning their journey into the fossil record. Bones, eggshells, footprints, and even fragments of ancient plants will remain hidden for millions of years before patiently telling their story to future generations of scientists. Take one final slow breath as the ancient valley grows quieter with every passing moment. The Maiasaura herd rests peacefully beneath the same universe that still watches over our world today. As sleep gently approaches, allow your thoughts to drift as slowly as these timeless rivers, knowing that this remarkable journey through the late Cretaceous will continue when the next chapter begins. Inside, a carefully built nest, a Maiasaura embryo is completing the final stage of its development. Warmth from attentive adults helps maintain stable conditions for growth. The growing embryo is curled tightly inside the egg, conserving space as its bones strengthen. Every passing day brings it closer to the moment of hatching. Nutrients stored within the egg provide everything the embryo needs before birth. Its growing skeleton gradually becomes stronger as development nears completion. Although its eyes remain closed, important senses are already forming. The developing nervous system prepares the young dinosaur for life beyond the shell. Its powerful hind legs are already taking shape, though they are not yet ready to support its weight. Growth continues quietly inside the protective shell. Fossil evidence suggests that adult Maiasaura remained close to their nests, creating a safer environment where developing embryos could mature undisturbed. The eggs rest close together inside the nest, helping maintain stable temperatures. Their arrangement reflects careful nesting behavior observed in fossil discoveries. Almost fully grown, the young Maiasaura spends most of its remaining time resting. Soon it will need all its strength for the demanding process of hatching. Beyond the shell, an immense prehistoric world is already awake. Rivers, forests, and thousands of dinosaurs continue their daily lives as a new one prepares to arrive. Rest quietly beside the ancient nest. Feel the calm warmth surrounding the hidden life within the shell. Breathing slowly as another peaceful day begins in the Cretaceous world. The embryo is now fully developed. Gentle movements help it settle into the perfect position before beginning the exhausting process of breaking free from the egg. Tiny cracks slowly spread across the eggshell. Each one is created from within, as the young Maiasaura patiently pushes toward the outside world for the first time. Using a temporary egg tooth, the hatchling carefully chips away at the shell. This small structure helps it hatch successfully, and naturally disappears soon after birth. Once it is no longer needed, the shell opens little by little, rather than all at once. Every small movement requires strength, making hatching one of the first great challenges of life. Its head appears first through the opening, wet, tired and breathing fresh air for the first time. The newborn pauses before pushing the rest of its body free. Fossil evidence suggests that adult Maiasaura stayed close to their nests, helping protect newly hatched young during their most vulnerable first hours of life. Several hatchlings often emerge within a short period of time. Growing together in the same nest may have increased their chances of surviving nearby predators. The hatchling fills its lungs with fresh air while the warmth of the morning sun slowly dries its skin. Every breath marks the beginning of an independent life outside the protective shell. For the first time, the young Maiasaura sees the ancient landscape surrounding its nest. Although it cannot walk yet, its curiosity is already beginning to grow. Hatching is only the beginning of a long journey. The young Maiasaura still depends on the safety of its nest before it is ready to face the wider world. Freshly hatched Maiasaura were not ready to leave the nest. Their developing limbs suggest they remain there while continuing to grow during the earliest stage of life. Remaining close together may have helped the hatchlings conserve body heat while providing extra protection during a time when they were still unable to travel. Fossil discoveries indicate that young Maiasaura likely received food after hatching, suggesting adults returned regularly, instead of leaving the nest permanently. The hatchlings were far too small to gather enough food on their own. Their survival likely depended on regular feeding by attentive adults until they became strong enough to leave the nest. Periods of rest were just as important as feeding. During sleep, their rapidly growing bodies continued forming stronger bones and developing healthy muscles. Although they remained safely inside the nest, the hatchlings gradually became more aware of light, movement, and sounds, helping them adapt to the ancient world waiting beyond the colony. Rapid growth during the first weeks of life helped strengthen their skeletons, preparing them for the demanding journey that awaited beyond the nesting colony. Thousands of hatchlings may have grown together in enormous nesting colonies, creating one of the largest known dinosaur breeding communities ever discovered. Constant vigilance would have been essential. Newly hatched Maiasaura were vulnerable, making the nesting colony one of the safest places during early development. Each passing day brought noticeable changes. The tiny hatchling was growing stronger, bringing it one step closer to leaving the nest and exploring its ancient world. Within only a few weeks, the young Maiasaura had already grown noticeably larger. Fossil evidence shows that its body developed at an unusually rapid pace compared with many modern reptiles. Microscopic studies of fossil bones reveal fast-growing tissue, showing that young Maiasaura experienced rapid skeletal development during the earliest stages of life. As muscles became stronger each day, the young dinosaur gained better balance and coordination, allowing longer periods of standing without quickly becoming exhausted. Not every hatchling grew at exactly the same rate. Differences in nutrition, health and environmental conditions likely influenced how quickly each young Maiasaura developed. Growing stronger muscles allowed the young Maiasaura to move with increasing confidence, preparing it for the day it would finally leave the safety of its birthplace. Healthy growth required a steady supply of food and energy. Every day of successful development increased the hatchling's chances of surviving in a challenging prehistoric world. Curiosity gradually encouraged young Maiasaura to explore farther from the center of the nest, although experienced adults likely remained close enough to provide protection. As they matured, young Maiasaura slowly began feeding on soft plants, reducing their dependence on adults while learning the diet that would sustain them throughout life. Every stage of growth brought greater independence. Stronger bones, larger muscles, and improving coordination gradually prepared these young dinosaurs for life within the herd. The tiny hatchling had changed remarkably in only a short time. Soon it would be ready to leave the nesting colony and discover the much larger world beyond. For the first time, the young Maiasaura places its weight fully on its legs. Months of rapid growth have prepared its bones and muscles for this important milestone. Each careful step strengthens the growing skeleton. Repeated movement encourages healthy bone development, allowing the young dinosaur to become stronger every single day. Soft floodplain mud preserves clear footprints, helping modern paleontologists understand how young dinosaurs moved and how quickly their walking abilities improved. Learning to balance required constant adjustment. Every uneven surface trained muscles, joints, and coordination, gradually making each movement smoother and more efficient. Walking beside other young Maiasaura allowed individuals to match each other's pace, reducing the risk of becoming separated from the safety of the nesting colony. Even simple obstacles such as fallen branches required careful coordination. Successfully crossing them helped develop agility that would later become essential for survival. Confidence increased with every successful journey. As walking became easier, the young Maiasaura slowly expanded the distance. It could safely travel from the nest. Crossing shallow streams introduced new challenges. Wet ground tested balance while teaching the young dinosaur to move confidently through changing environments. Each new day brought greater strength and endurance. The once fragile hatchling was steadily becoming capable of keeping pace with the larger members of its species. Its first steps marked far more than simple movement. They opened the path toward exploration, independence, and the remarkable life waiting beyond the familiar nesting grounds. As confidence grew, curiosity became one of the young Maiasaura's greatest advantages. Exploring its surroundings helped it recognize safe paths, food sources, and potential dangers. Young Maiasaura probably investigated many different plants before learning which ones were safe and nutritious enough to become part of its regular diet. Tiny insects and other small animals filled the ancient forests. Although Maiasaura was herbivorous, observing constant movement helped sharpen its awareness of the environment. Hearing was an important sense for survival. Subtle sounds carried through forests and floodplains, warning young dinosaurs about changing conditions nearby. Looking upward revealed another active world. Early birds shared the skies with flying reptiles, creating a landscape filled with constant movement above the forests. Still water reflected both the landscape and hidden risks. Learning to approach rivers and ponds carefully became an important lesson for every growing Maiasaura. Watching older herd members provided valuable experience. Young dinosaurs could gradually learn where to travel, when to feed, and how to remain with the group. By the late Cretaceous, flowering plants had become increasingly common. Their growing diversity offered young herbivores many new feeding opportunities to explore. Every new discovery expanded the young dinosaur's understanding of its world. Experience gradually became just as valuable as physical strength for long-term survival. Curiosity had transformed uncertainty into confidence. Each careful observation prepared the young Maiasaura for life within a much larger and constantly changing prehistoric world. As the young Maiasaura matured, it gradually spent more time among older herd members. Living together offered safety, experience, and opportunities to learn essential survival behaviors. Young dinosaurs often remained close to individuals of similar age. Moving together allowed them to develop coordination, while reducing the chance of becoming isolated. Young dinosaurs often remained close to individuals of similar age. Moving together allowed them to develop coordination while reducing the chance of becoming isolated. Some adults remained alert while others fed. Constant awareness of the surrounding landscape increased the herd's ability to detect approaching danger before it arrived. Watching experienced adults helped young Maiasaura recognize suitable plants. Efficient feeding habits in safe places where the herd regularly searched for food. Traveling together reduced the likelihood of becoming separated. Even without perfect formation, the herd moved as a coordinated community across the ancient landscape. Remaining near the center of the herd likely offered additional protection. Larger individuals naturally formed a living barrier around younger and more vulnerable members. Although their exact sounds remain unknown, body posture and movement probably played an important role in maintaining group cohesion during everyday activities. Day after day, the young Maiasaura became more comfortable within the herd. Shared experience gradually replaced uncertainty with confidence and familiarity. No longer dependent on the nesting colony, the young Maiasaura had become part of a thriving community, ready to follow the herd wherever the changing seasons would lead. As local vegetation gradually became less abundant, the Maiasaura herd began a longer seasonal journey in search of fresh feeding grounds across the ancient floodplains. Walking beside experienced adults helped the young Maiasaura maintain a steady pace while learning routes that had likely been followed by generations before. The journey crossed rivers, open plains, and forest edges, exposing young dinosaurs to environments far larger than the familiar nesting colony they had left behind. Shallow rivers offered drinking water but also demanded careful footing. Stable movement across uneven riverbeds became another valuable survival skill for every juvenile. The herd paused regularly to feed, allowing growing juveniles to restore energy reserves needed for the demanding distances covered during each stage of the journey. Changing weather influenced every journey. Rain refreshed vegetation and filled rivers, while dry periods encouraged herds to continue searching for more productive habitats. Resting between long periods of walking conserved valuable energy. Even healthy young Maiasaura needed regular recovery before continuing across the ancient landscape. Large herds may have stretched across remarkable distances, creating slow, moving lines of dinosaurs that reshaped the landscape as they searched for fresh vegetation. With every passing day, the young Maiasaura became more resilient. Long journeys gradually strengthened both its body and its confidence within the moving herd. The first great journey had come to an end. Ahead lay fresh feeding grounds, new experiences, and the next stage in the remarkable life of a growing Maiasaura. By adolescence, Maiasaura had already grown several times larger than at hatching. Its increasing size greatly improved endurance, while reducing vulnerability to many natural threats. Rapid growth demanded enormous amounts of plant material. Feeding for many hours each day supplied the energy needed to support continuously developing bones and muscles. Although still immature, young Maiasaura could already travel alongside experienced adults, covering greater distances with increasing confidence and physical stability. Greater experience allowed young individuals to recognize subtle changes in the environment, responding more quickly to unfamiliar movement or unexpected sounds across the floodplain. Groups of similarly aged Maiasaura likely spent considerable time together, gradually strengthening social bonds that contributed to the stability of the larger herd. As the skeleton matured, body proportions gradually changed. Longer limbs and stronger joints supported increasingly efficient movement across vast prehistoric landscapes. Each successful journey improved stamina. Repeated long, distance travel gradually prepared young Maiasaura for the demanding seasonal movements of adult life. Reliable freshwater sources shaped the daily rhythm of the herd. Rivers not only provided drinking water but also supported the rich vegetation on which Maiasaura depended. The fragile hatchling was now a capable young dinosaur. Confidence, experience, and steady growth had transformed it into a valuable member of its prehistoric community. Its childhood was nearly complete. Ahead lay adulthood, future nesting seasons, and a lifetime shaped by the rhythms of one of Earth's most remarkable prehistoric ecosystems. Morning light slowly spreads across the ancient valley as the Maiasaura herd continues its timeless rhythm. Every sunrise begins another quiet chapter in a world that flourished 76 million years ago. Fresh water shaped every living community. Rivers nourished forests, renewed fertile floodplains, and quietly sustained the countless lives that shared this remarkable ecosystem. The forests never hurried. Towering trees, flowering plants, and ancient ferns followed natural cycles that remained unchanged through countless generations of dinosaurs. Even moments of stillness carried purpose. Rest conserved energy, strengthened growing bodies, and prepared the herd for the quiet journeys that always returned with changing seasons. Every mouthful of vegetation became part of an endless cycle, where sunlight, rain, and fertile soil quietly supported life across the ancient continent of Laramidia. The landscape remembered no names. Rivers changed course, forests renewed themselves, and generations of Maiasaura quietly followed familiar pathways. Above the quiet valley, familiar constellations slowly crossed the sky, just as they had long before mammals became the dominant life upon the earth. Long before human history began, peaceful nights settled over these floodplains, where countless living creatures rested beneath the same silent universe we still share today. The herd continues beyond the distant horizon, yet the valley remains. Stone, water, and ancient forests preserve silent echoes of a world remembered through fossils alone. Life continued across this ancient world long after each individual journey had ended. The quiet rhythm of nature remained, patiently shaping the story that fossils would one day reveal. The late Cretaceous landscape often appeared calm, yet every valley, river, and forest belonged to a complex ecosystem where survival depended upon constant balance between countless species. Herbivorous dinosaurs rarely lived without risk. Every feeding site also carried uncertainty, making careful observation an essential part of everyday survival throughout their lives. Large predators did not appear constantly, yet their presence influenced how herbivorous herds selected feeding grounds, resting places, and daily travel routes across the landscape. Remaining alert required little effort once it became habitual. Small changes in distant movement or unfamiliar sounds could provide valuable moments to react before danger arrived. Within the herd, not every individual focused only on feeding. Shared vigilance increased the likelihood of detecting threats before they reached the center of the group. Changes elsewhere in the ecosystem often provided early warnings. Sudden movements among birds or smaller animals sometimes signaled that larger predators were approaching nearby. Choosing when to move could be as important as choosing where to feed. Quiet decisions made collectively often reduced unnecessary risks, without exhausting valuable energy reserves. To a young Maiasaura, the ancient world appeared peaceful. Yet every quiet day was shaped by invisible challenges that rewarded awareness, cooperation, and patient adaptation. Not every predator towered above the landscape. Smaller feathered hunters relied on patience, sharp senses, and careful timing rather than overwhelming size or brute strength. Long hind limbs allowed these agile predators to move quietly through dense vegetation, where concealment often proved far more valuable than speed alone during a hunt. Large forward-facing eyes suggest that vision played an important role, helping these hunters detect movement beneath forest shadows and changing light conditions. Large forward-facing eyes suggest that vision played an important role, helping these hunters detect movement beneath forest shadows and changing light conditions. Unattended nests could provide valuable food. Eggs represented concentrated nutrients, making them attractive opportunities whenever protective adults were temporarily absent. Other small predatory dinosaurs also shared this ecosystem. Their light bodies and agile movements allowed them to explore habitats inaccessible to much larger hunters. Avoiding danger often required no chase at all. Detecting subtle warning signs early allowed entire herds to leave vulnerable areas before predators. came within reach. Even the smallest predators played an essential ecological role. Their presence helped shape the awareness, behavior, and remarkable survival strategies of the Maiasaura herds. Large nesting colonies increased the chances that many young would survive. Even so, unattended eggs remained valuable food for smaller predators searching for easy opportunities. Maiasaura eggs developed within carefully prepared nests, where warmth from decaying vegetation may have helped maintain favorable conditions for embryonic development. Smaller predators depended upon stealth rather than strength. Remaining unseen often proved more successful than chasing healthy adult dinosaurs across open ground. Adult Maiasaura likely reduced nesting risks by remaining close together, allowing many watchful eyes to detect approaching danger before it reached vulnerable nests. Building nests close together may have offered important advantages. Dense colonies reduced the likelihood that every nest would be discovered by opportunistic predators. Predators often searched for abandoned nests after hatching had already occurred, reducing unnecessary risk while still finding occasional sources of nourishment. Producing many offspring increased the species' long-term success. Although not every hatchling survived, enough reached adulthood to sustain healthy populations over millions of years. Every successful nest represented a delicate balance between opportunity and survival across countless generations. That balance helped Maiasaura become one of the late Cretaceous most successful herbivores. Daspletosaurus ranked among the largest predators of late Cretaceous Laramidia. Its massive skull and exceptionally powerful bite made it one of the dominant hunters of its ecosystem. Adults could reach nearly 9 meters in length and weigh well over 2 metric tons. Their bodies combined tremendous strength with surprising agility for such enormous animals. Its skull was built to withstand enormous forces. Thick jawbones and reinforced teeth allowed repeated crushing bites, capable of damaging even large dinosaur bones. Large nasal passages suggest that smell played an important role. Detecting distant carcasses or following fresh scent trails may have guided its daily movements. Excellent vision and sensitive hearing likely complemented its sense of smell, creating a highly effective combination for locating movement across open environments. Rather than constant pursuit, large predators probably conserved energy, choosing favorable moments to approach prey, reduced unnecessary effort, and increased hunting efficiency. Large herbivores, such as Maiasaura, formed an important part of the ecosystem. Healthy adults were formidable animals, making successful attacks neither simple nor guaranteed. Like modern large predators, Daspletosaurus probably spent much of its day resting between periods of activity, conserving energy whenever hunting opportunities were scarce. Fossil discoveries place Daspletosaurus among the dominant carnivores living alongside Maiasaura, illustrating the constant balance between predator and herbivore populations. Although remembered as a fearsome predator, Daspletosaurus was simply another species shaped by evolution, playing an essential role in maintaining the balance of its ancient world. Compared with many giant tyrannosaurs, Gorgosaurus possessed a lighter skeleton and longer legs, suggesting it relied more on speed and endurance than overwhelming strength. Its slender proportions allowed faster movement across open floodplains, making it well suited to pursuing agile prey through the broad river valleys of ancient Laramidia. Forward-facing eyes provided excellent depth perception, helping estimate distance with remarkable precision during pursuit, or when carefully tracking movement across open landscapes. Rather than dominating through sheer power alone, Gorgosaurus occupied a different ecological role, exploiting speed and opportunity within the same ancient ecosystems as larger tyrannosaurids. Unlike heavier tyrannosaurs, Gorgosaurus could move more quietly through wooded habitats, where shorter bursts of speed and careful positioning may have improved hunting success. Young Maiasaura faced greater danger than healthy adults. Their smaller size and limited experience made them more vulnerable to predators searching for easier opportunities. Predators often depended on patience rather than constant pursuit, remaining concealed until the right moment conserved valuable energy in an unpredictable prehistoric world. Although Gorgosaurus shared its homeland with larger tyrannosaurids, its lighter build reveals that several giant predators could coexist by occupying different ecological roles within the same ecosystem. Seasonal storms could transform peaceful rivers into violent torrents within hours. Flash floods reshaped entire valleys and threatened every animal living across the floodplain. Large herds often sought higher ground as water levels rose. Moving together increased the chances of avoiding flooded river channels that could become deadly natural barriers. Heavy rainfall weakened unstable slopes, triggering landslides that buried vegetation and permanently altered familiar migration routes used by dinosaurs for countless generations. Towering trees occasionally fell after prolonged storms loosened their roots. Such events instantly changed forest pathways and created dangerous obstacles for animals moving below. Floods could permanently redirect entire rivers. Old channels dried out while new waterways reshaped the landscape, forcing dinosaur herds to discover unfamiliar migration routes. Survival depended on flexibility. Herds that adapted quickly to changing rivers and damaged landscapes gained better access to food, water, and safer nesting territories. Although storms brought destruction, they also renewed ecosystems. Fresh sediments enriched the soil, allowing new plants to flourish and restoring food supplies for grazing dinosaurs. Nature constantly balanced destruction with renewal. Every flood reshaped the world, yet life returned again and again, allowing Maiasaura populations to thrive for countless generations. Nature constantly balanced destruction with renewal. Every flood reshaped the world, yet life returned again and again, allowing Maiasaura populations to thrive for countless generations. Plant growth slowed as moisture disappeared from the soil. Even large herbivores needed to travel farther each day to gather enough nutritious vegetation for survival. As permanent water became limited, many different dinosaur species gathered at the same locations, increasing competition and creating some of the busiest places in the ecosystem. Seasonal migrations likely became essential during dry periods. Reaching distant feeding grounds demanded endurance, coordination, and careful use of energy by the entire herd. Long-distance travel required enormous energy reserves. Every unnecessary movement increased fatigue, making efficient migration essential for surviving extended periods of environmental stress. Finding reliable water transformed the landscape. Healthy vegetation quickly returned near permanent rivers, providing both nourishment and safer resting places. For large herbivorous herds, access to dependable water sources improved physical condition throughout the herd. Well-nourished adults were better prepared for future migrations and the changing demands of each season. Seasonal drought shaped every generation of Maiasaura. Those able to adapt their movements and conserve energy stood the greatest chance of surviving until the rains returned once again. Fossilized bones reveal that some Maiasaura survived serious injuries. Healed fractures demonstrate that individuals could recover from accidents and continue living for many years afterward. When broken bones healed, new layers of bone formed around the injury. These natural repairs remain visible today, allowing scientists to study recovery millions of years later. Some fossils preserve abnormal bone growth caused by infection. These changes suggest that injured dinosaurs sometimes lived long enough for chronic diseases to leave permanent marks. Not every illness affected soft tissues alone. Certain infections reached the skeleton itself, where permanent changes became fossilized and survived for scientists to examine today. Parasites almost certainly lived alongside dinosaurs, just as they do today. Although rarely fossilized, insects and microscopic organisms likely influenced dinosaur health throughout their lives. Living within large herds offered protection. Yet close contact may also have increased opportunities for infectious diseases to spread between neighboring individuals over time. Every healed injury preserved in fossil bone records a remarkable story of survival, showing that some dinosaurs overcame hardships once thought impossible to endure. The fossil record preserves more than bones. It captures resilience, revealing that survival in the ancient world depended not only on avoiding danger, but also on recovering from it. Living in large herds greatly improved survival. Many eyes detected approaching danger earlier, giving individuals more time to react before predators reached the group. Moving together reduced individual risk. Predators found it more difficult to isolate a single animal when surrounded by hundreds of alert herd members traveling as one. Maiasaura grew rapidly during its early years. Reaching larger body sizes sooner reduced vulnerability and increased the chances of surviving the most dangerous stage of life. Producing many offspring, each breeding season, increased the likelihood that enough young would survive, despite predation, disease, and the unpredictable forces of nature. A varied plant diet provided flexibility. Feeding on different vegetation allowed Maiasaura to adjust more easily as seasonal conditions changed throughout the ancient ecosystem. Adaptability proved essential. Maiasaura thrived across changing environments by adjusting migration routes, feeding behavior and daily movements as conditions continually shifted. For millions of years, Maiasaura remained one of the most successful large herbivores of Western North America, demonstrating remarkable ecological stability across generations. Its success was never based on strength alone. Cooperation, rapid growth, adaptability, and successful reproduction together shaped one of the late Cretaceous most enduring dinosaurs. The ancient floodplain awakened once more, beneath the morning sun. Rivers continued their timeless journey, carrying life across a world where every living creature shared the same landscape. No single species ruled this world alone. Every herd, every forest, and every flowing river formed part of a living system that had developed over countless generations. Predators and herbivores shaped one another through millions of years. Neither existed without the other, and together they maintained the balance of their ancient ecosystem. The rivers never hurried. Season after season, they carved new paths across the floodplain, quietly shaping the landscapes that supported generations of prehistoric life. Forests recovered after storms, and fresh plants returned where old ones had fallen. Renewal followed change with remarkable consistency throughout the ancient world. Life unfolded through countless quiet moments. Feeding, resting, and moving together became simple patterns repeated across seasons, long before humans ever existed. Each passing season left its mark, yet the rhythm of nature endured. Day followed night, rain followed drought, and life continued through constant change. Long before history was written, the ancient world already understood patience. Every ending quietly prepared the beginning of another unbroken natural cycle. The same stars shone above this forgotten world millions of years before humanity appeared, watching silent rivers, endless forests, and lives unfolding beneath the night sky. The ancient world has vanished, yet its story remains preserved in stone. Every fossil reminds us that nature has always found balance, carrying life forward across unimaginable ages. No fossil has preserved the true colors of Maiasaura. Every reconstruction seen today represents a scientific interpretation based on evidence gathered from related dinosaurs and living animals. Most artists favor muted greens, browns, and sandy tones because camouflage increases survival in many modern herbivores. Although direct evidence for Maiasaura remains unavailable, skin impressions discovered from some hadrosaurs reveal scale patterns, but rarely preserve pigments. Texture can survive fossilization long after original colors have completely disappeared. Countershading, with darker backs and lighter undersides. Appears frequently among living animals and has also been suggested for several dinosaur species as effective natural camouflage. Living animal populations rarely share identical colors. Individual variation caused by age, genetics and environment may also have existed among Maiasaura populations. Young animals often display different colors than adults in modern ecosystems. Whether young Maiasaura followed this pattern remains an unanswered scientific question. Future discoveries may someday reveal fossilized pigments or microscopic structures that preserve clues about dinosaur coloration, as already achieved for a few feathered species. The true appearance of Maiasaura remains hidden by deep time. Science continues to narrow the possibilities. Yet some mysteries still invite imagination guided carefully by evidence. No fossil has revealed whether Maiasaura carried stripes, spots, or other markings. Any skin pattern shown today is a scientific reconstruction, rather than a confirmed fossil fact. Modern herbivores often use irregular markings to soften their outline. Similar camouflage may have benefited Maiasaura, although direct evidence has never been discovered. Fossilized skin impressions preserve scale arrangement remarkably well. Yet microscopic pigments responsible for visible patterns almost never survive millions of years underground. Even simple changes in shade can disguise body shape. Soft transitions between lighter and darker skin may have provided effective concealment without bold visible markings. Animals within the same species rarely appear completely identical. Individual differences in skin patterns may have existed among Maiasaura, just as they do in many living animals. Young animals sometimes carry temporary markings that fade with age. Whether juvenile Maiasaura followed this strategy remains entirely unknown to modern science. Future discoveries could reveal microscopic evidence hidden within exceptionally preserved fossils, allowing scientists to reconstruct skin appearance with far greater confidence. Some mysteries remain hidden because time erased the smallest details. Every new fossil brings another piece of the puzzle. But the complete picture is still waiting beneath ancient rock. No recording of a dinosaur has ever existed. Scientists infer possible Maiasaura vocalizations by studying fossil anatomy together with the sounds produced by birds and crocodilians today. Many herd animals maintain contact through simple vocal signals. Maiasaura may also have relied on low calls to help individuals remain together across wide floodplains. Unlike some later hadrosaurs with elaborate hollow crests, Maiasaura lacked obvious structures known to amplify sound, suggesting its voice may have been comparatively simple. Young dinosaurs may have communicated with adults using higher-pitched calls, much like many modern birds, although fossil evidence cannot yet confirm this possibility. Soft vocal communication may have helped coordinate movement, warn of danger or maintain social bonds, reducing confusion within large groups. Spread across open terrain, listening was likely as important as calling. Detecting distant movement or unfamiliar sounds could have provided valuable time to react before danger reached the herd. Future fossil discoveries may reveal additional clues about dinosaur hearing or vocal anatomy, allowing scientists to refine current ideas about Maiasaura communication. Although its true voice has been lost forever, the fossils still preserve enough evidence to let science cautiously explore how Maiasaura may once have communicated within its ancient world. Scientists cannot measure dinosaur intelligence directly. Instead, they study fossil skulls, brain cavities, and living relatives to estimate how Maiasaura may have processed information. Brain size alone rarely reflects intelligence. Modern animals with similar brain proportions often display surprisingly complex behaviors, shaped by learning and experience. Choosing safe routes through changing landscapes required constant awareness. Everyday decisions may have depended more on experience than on instinct alone during long migrations. Living in large groups requires individuals to recognize movement, maintain spacing and respond together. These social abilities suggest practical forms of intelligence beyond simple reflexes. Rather than solving abstract problems, Maiasaura likely relied upon memory, environmental awareness, and learned behavior to survive within an ever-changing prehistoric ecosystem. Young Maiasaura probably learned many survival behaviors simply by remaining close to experienced adults. Observation may have been as valuable as instinct during early development. Remembering familiar routes, dependable water sources, and seasonal feeding areas could have increased survival, allowing experienced animals to navigate changing environments more efficiently. Social living often depends upon recognizing neighbors, responding to group movement, and maintaining cohesion. These behaviors reflect practical intelligence shaped through millions of years of evolution. Even the best fossils reveal only part of the story. Brain tissue does not fossilize, leaving researchers to reconstruct behavior from preserved anatomy and comparisons with living species. Although its true intelligence can never be measured directly, every fossil discovery adds another small piece to the remarkable story of how Maiasaura once lived within its ancient world. Fossil evidence suggests Maiasaura lived in large social groups. Remaining together likely improved awareness of predators while allowing individuals to move safely across open landscapes. Coordinated movement reduced confusion within the herd. Even without complex planning, following neighbors could help maintain order during daily travel and seasonal migrations. Fossil evidence suggests Maiasaura lived in large social groups. Remaining together likely improved awareness of predators while allowing individuals to move safely across open landscapes. Not every herd member needed to remain equally alert. Alternating periods of feeding, resting, and vigilance may have helped conserve energy while maintaining collective awareness. Large social groups also increased opportunities for communication. Simple visual signals, body movements, and possible vocal calls may have helped coordinate herd behavior over long distances. Temporary separation did not necessarily leave an individual isolated. Remaining within sight of the herd may have reduced risk, while allowing flexible movement across changing terrain. Crossing rivers as a coordinated group could reduce confusion and increase safety. Larger adults naturally created sheltered positions for younger herd members during difficult passages. Social groups were not tightly packed at every moment. Flexible spacing allowed efficient feeding while preserving visual contact between individuals across the open floodplain. Living together for extended periods may have allowed individuals to recognize familiar companions. Although direct evidence for long-term social bonds remains unavailable today, fossil discoveries continue to support the idea that Maiasaura was a highly social dinosaur. Living together was likely one of the greatest advantages contributing to its evolutionary success. Whether Maiasaura migrated over great distances remains uncertain. Fossils suggest seasonal movement was possible, but direct evidence for long migrations has not yet been found. Seasonal changes in food and water availability may have encouraged herds to move between different feeding areas rather than remaining in one location. Throughout the entire year, large herds could gradually travel across broad landscapes without hurried movement, following familiar routes that provided reliable vegetation and dependable freshwater sources. Changing rivers, seasonal flooding, and shifting vegetation may have influenced where herds traveled, encouraging flexible movement instead of permanent occupation of one habitat. Although no ancient migration routes have been preserved, the remarkable adaptability of Maiasaura suggests it could respond effectively to changing environmental conditions throughout its range. Long journeys require regular opportunities to rest, drink, and feed. Suitable habitats along possible travel routes would have been essential for maintaining the health of large herds. Rather than moving continuously, herds may have progressed gradually across familiar regions, adjusting their pace according to changing seasons, weather, and available vegetation. Different Maiasaura populations may not have behaved identically. Local environments could have influenced movement patterns, making some groups more mobile than others over time. Future fossil discoveries may reveal additional clues about seasonal movement through bone chemistry, growth patterns, or newly discovered trackways preserved within ancient sediments. Whether Maiasaura traveled across hundreds of kilometers or remained within familiar territories, its survival depended upon adapting successfully to an ever-changing prehistoric landscape. No Maiasaura ever carried a calendar, yet its bones preserve remarkable clues. Growth rings inside fossilized skeletons allow scientists to estimate the age reached by individual animals. Much like tree rings record yearly growth, microscopic bone tissues preserve patterns that reveal how rapidly Maiasaura developed throughout different stages of its life. Evidence suggests Maiasaura grew remarkably fast during its early years. Rapid development reduced the time young individuals remained especially vulnerable to predators. After reaching adulthood, growth slowed considerably. Scientists believe energy shifted from increasing body size toward reproduction maintenance and long-term survival. Not every Maiasaura reached old age. Predators, disease, injuries, and environmental change likely ended many lives, long before natural aging became the greatest challenge. Older individuals may have carried the marks of long lives. Healed injuries and worn bones preserved in fossils reveal that some Maiasaura survived many challenges throughout adulthood. As growth slowed, yearly bone layers became increasingly compressed. These microscopic patterns help researchers estimate the relative age of fossilized Maiasaura individuals. Like modern animal populations, Maiasaura herds probably included individuals of many different ages. This diversity helped maintain stable populations across changing prehistoric environments. Every newly discovered skeleton expands scientific understanding. Comparing individuals of different ages allows researchers to reconstruct the complete life history of Maiasaura with increasing accuracy. Although the exact lifespan of Maiasaura remains uncertain, its fossilized bones continue to preserve an extraordinary record of growth, survival, and life within an ancient ecosystem. Exactly how fast Maiasaura could run remains unknown. Scientists estimate its speed by studying fossil skeletons, joint mechanics, and comparisons with living animals. Its long hind limbs and strong muscles suggest efficient movement across open terrain. These adaptations likely favored endurance and stability more than extreme sprinting ability. A long muscular tail probably acted as a dynamic counterbalance, helping maintain stability while changing direction or increasing speed across uneven prehistoric landscapes. Fossil trackways provide valuable clues about movement. The spacing between footprints helps researchers estimate walking speed, stride length, and body posture of extinct animals. Moving together as a herd may have been more important than maximum speed. Coordinated travel helped groups remain organized while reducing the risk of individuals becoming isolated. Computer biomechanical models suggest Maiasaura could move efficiently across open terrain. Stability and endurance were probably more important than achieving exceptional top speeds. Younger animals likely moved differently from fully grown adults. Smaller bodies may have allowed quicker acceleration, while experienced adults maintained a steadier traveling rhythm. Terrain strongly influenced movement. Soft mud, rocky slopes, and dense vegetation would all have reduced speed, encouraging careful footing instead of rapid acceleration. No fossil trackway records maximum speed with complete certainty. Scientists compare stride length, footprint depth, and skeletal anatomy to produce careful biomechanical estimates. Although its exact running speed remains uncertain, Maiasaura possessed the strength, balance, and endurance needed to survive within one of Earth's most dynamic prehistoric ecosystems. Every fossil answers important questions while creating many new ones. Each discovery becomes the starting point for future research, rather than the end of scientific investigation. Many Maiasaura fossils almost certainly remain buried beneath ancient rock layers. Future excavations may reveal individuals representing completely different stages of life. Advancing imaging technologies continue revealing microscopic structures once impossible to examine, allowing scientists to study fossilized bones without damaging valuable specimens. Future scanning techniques may uncover hidden internal features that improve understanding of growth, injuries and bone development without altering the original fossil. Additional nesting colonies could provide new evidence about breeding behavior, colony organization, and how young Maiasaura developed within different prehistoric environments. Every generation of researchers builds upon earlier discoveries. Future evidence may reshape today's ideas while bringing an even clearer understanding of Maiasaura and its ancient world. Future discoveries of more complete skulls may improve our understanding of Maiasaura's senses, feeding mechanics and subtle anatomical differences between individuals. Additional fossils, representing every age, could reveal how Maiasaura changed throughout its life, refining growth models developed from the specimens already known today. Large regions containing late Cretaceous rocks remain only partially explored. Future expeditions may uncover entirely new Maiasaura nesting sites or fossil populations. Improved computer modeling continues making fossil reconstructions increasingly accurate, allowing researchers to test movement, posture and biomechanics with greater precision. Every new fossil expands the story without replacing the past. Scientific understanding grows gradually as evidence accumulates across generations of careful research. Although many mysteries remain unsolved, every discovery brings us closer to understanding a world that vanished millions of years ago yet continues to inspire scientific curiosity. Morning light returns exactly as it has for countless ages. Flowing water, growing forests, and quiet footsteps remind every living creature that time never truly stands still. Life moved gently across these ancient plains. Every season offered new beginnings, while familiar paths quietly connected generations through the rhythm of the living world. Rivers continued their endless journey long after each footprint disappeared. The landscape changed without haste, carrying every season into the next with quiet certainty. Every forest renewed itself through countless cycles of growth and change. Life continued not because nothing ended, but because every ending quietly nourished another beginning. Nothing within nature existed alone. Every river, every tree, and every living creature became part of a greater balance that endured far beyond any single lifetime. Silence has always belonged to this ancient world. Gentle water, quiet forests and fading light continue their timeless rhythm without urgency, carrying every moment forward. Nothing asks the river to keep flowing, and nothing reminds the forest to keep growing. The living world simply follows the quiet rhythm written into every passing season. Above the ancient plains, the same stars crossed the night long before human memory. Their silent journey measured time far beyond the lives of every creature below. Every footprint eventually faded into the earth, yet the landscape remembered the countless lives that passed through it, each becoming part of an unbroken natural story. Long after every generation had passed, the rivers still flowed, forests still returned, and dawn still arrived. Nature never hurried, never paused, only continued its endless search for balance.